because ivory has become such a valued commodity in North America and China that hunters and other local communities or tribesmen are killing off this now endangered species because as consumers we're buying it for a really expensive price. And it just like it goes to show you that it's like the more we're educated about what we're consuming, we actually change whole economies, we change societies, we change the way that people live and treat the planet and the animals that inhabit it. So, which makes us more and more determined with what we're doing. Just to educate the average person of like the everyday steps that we take, it actually makes a huge difference. Like every day people shop at a store like Planet Organic, they're not just investing in good things for themselves, but it's actually changing whole ecosystems and how the earth is taken care of and how farming practices are done and the conditions in which farmers have to live in. Like we ran in Yuma, Arizona, having fields, plus organic produce fields, and the workers only had to have masks on because of the dust that was coming up, but not because of the pesticides. But otherwise, their life condition would have had to be, more coverage based on being exposed to chemicals day after day after day. And you know what happens when you're exposed to chemicals for a long time. Everything from cancer to other diseases, some preventable, some not. So, but you don't think about that when you're like organic orange or non-organic orange, but the repercussions are actually really, really big. So, so we chose kids to bring that message home mostly.
And I think actually it's funny because I think the kids, on that same note, they ended up teaching us.
Yeah.
Like they actually contacted us.
Yeah.
Because we tried to be all things to all people when we first started. Like you remember we were like, okay, we want to like change the world. We want to go out there. We want to like get everybody. And so I thought like Calgary maybe we'd get a million actions, because like people would be following us already and doing stuff. And it was amazing because we also obviously met so many big kids, right? But it was they're called Pint-Sized Eco Warriors now. All our little mini peeps and peepettes. Just kind of like the under 5-footer crowd, and they continue to absolutely like eyes wide open. They're so eager to hear the message, and do cartoon voices with us and have fun. And we would come in to the vehicle after we leave, and we both be jumping off the ground like 10 feet, going, "Oh, that was so amazing! Like those kids were so afraid." And remember that kid in the third row? You remember, this one, that kid over there? He answered this unbelievable question, and so it actually inspired us, and to actually realize, oh my God, that's our audience. That's the people that I think really resonate with this message from that really early age, because they still, they believe in Santa Claus in many respects. They still want to play all the time, and they don't have to sort of book a meeting 3 days from Sunday in order to implement not using plastic bags. You know what I mean? Right away they go, all right, we're gonna do it. Because we get them all to make commitments at the end of the presentation, and so you got a whole line of kids that say, I'm going to turn off the lights. And they're going to turn off the lights. Because the teachers email us going, they turned off the lights. And parents coming to the event saying, they turned off the light in the middle of my shower, and they turned off the hot, right? And at the same time, like our tip number 10, thank you, Diane, for Teach Your Children Well.
That tip is huge.
Oh my God, it's like...
that tip actually has become what we're all about.
Yeah.
Wow. Totally has become what we're about.
Yeah. That's Amber, everybody.
Yes. Hi, Amber. This is how we get around. November.
So tip number 10, as you know, is Teach Your Children Well.
Yeah. Which all the adults win.
After the song, right? We could all sing it later, and so with the kids, it just came out of nowhere one day. We were like, hey, what about this? And it was like right in the middle of a presentation. I don't know where it was, but I'll never forget the moment. All of a sudden it was like, go with me. And we were like, okay, this special tips for you guys. The kids are cool. Yeah, okay. So take a look at your teachers right now. So, the teachers were like, what's going on? And we said, kids, hey, look at your teachers with loving eyes. So all the kids are looking at the teachers giggling and all this. And so we get the kids to say, hi, teacher. So everybody says, hi, teacher. I'd just like to thank you for teaching me well. So all the kids, and they're like, oh, and the teachers are like, oh, you're welcome, you're welcome. And then we go, you know, when Steph says, you know, yeah, jawbreaker, because I, you know, do the thing, and all the kids, then we say the teachers, they can't hear us or see us anymore. So kids, bring your eyes back here. So all the kids are,
And they totally believe. They're like,
oh my god! You know, when the kids see, they can't wave at us. You can't even see
and
us.
the teachers
And all
go
the-
along.
Yeah, they're all like, you know, they're, oh yeah, and then and so we then go, okay. So everybody, pinky swear. Although then we say don't swear because it's not good to swear, right? And then we get the kids to come in closer, and we say, okay, for the parents and the teachers, it's teach your children well, but for you kids, it's
Kids, teach your parents and your teachers weller. And they're like,
it's amazing.
and you always have the kid, that's not a word.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, that's only a word in this context, not in like exams or anything, you know, or tests. And so, but that's become the tour.
It literally has, yeah.
It's tip number 10.
Yeah.
Because the kids love it, and you know, and the teachers always kind of think like, oh, that was a good one, you know. But the kids are like, oh, I'm choosing number 10.
Yeah.
And you're like, we've had the whole group of kids at the front of the school. They always choose which tip they're gonna do, and we've had the whole group. You're like 10, number 10, number 10,
Yeah.
number 10. You know.
Oh yeah.
So it's yeah, and that really has become actually what the tour is about, is kids teach your parents weller.
Yeah. And small steps adding up, and because we're
Yeah.
under 5'6",
Yeah.
and you know we have small feet and big feet. Yeah. But it really it's amazing that again in the pursuit of a dream, you have obviously your grand plan and your greatest A plan, right? Your A game. And you realize that if you just continue to bring your A game to every game day, no matter which way it turns out every day, you end up getting an A-class day. And that is what has been like even through like the cruddiest days, because you know there's no way we could stand here and not be lying and say there was really, you know, some really cruddy days. Like, there was days where it tested us beyond belief. You know, whether it was the RV catching on fire, and at the same time we're still 200 miles out of our destination.
That we needed to be at in 2 days.
That we need to be on
Yeah.
days, or you know, so many challenges. But yet it's challenges that again, we all face challenges, right? I mean, we all. It's life. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, oh man, that happened, and so then you go over here and go, well, so what? What are you gonna do about it? And so that's what we have to do, and so it's no different than what anybody else has gone through in this last year, because we've all faced challenges.
How about when you poisoned yourself? That's actually something that we also use in presentations, because when we were running through Quebec, it was really hot, and Vanessa, road crew at the time, we were working really hard in the RV. We're like heads down, and Matt like runs into the RV. We don't know what's going on, and he grabs a glass that's right next to the blender, which is normally filled with protein shake, and it was filled with green cleaner. And so thank God we're using green
Mixed
cleaner.
with protein shake.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you mixed it with protein shake. She did.
Yeah.
And so Matt downs the glass, and he's like, "Oh, I don't feel very good." And it was like, "Ooh, yeah, something's not going right."
Citrus oil.
And he had downed a whole thing of green cleaner, and so rushed him to the hospital. And it was in Quebec, and the woman only spoke French. So, and Matt doesn't speak a word of French other than bonjour, you know. And so I'm fluent, which was helpful. And so I corresponded with her, and she was like, "Oh, it's green cleaner, that's all right," you know. And so,
Well, what did she ask? She said, how much did he ingest? And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, like, you know, whatever. That was like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played with her for a while afterwards. I was like, let's pretend it's a big deal. He's really worried.
Oh,
it was so funny.
I thought I was going to die.
Yeah. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
take his temperature. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great because I knew he was overreacting, but I was like, it's okay, it's fun. But when we were in the presentations, we go through that whole thing, and we're like, it's a good thing that he was using green cleaner with no chemicals. Because we're using bleach, you know, or we say, Mr. Clean, you know. Yeah, or it would have been, because we use Matt's cartoon characters. So, anyways, it's always been a good thing to illustrate the importance of green cleaner. That was a good story.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Well, great, yeah. It's so true because it was so, like, after we laughed our faces off about it, after I stopped having a rumbly tummy.
Yeah.
But it's really become the way that we can instantly connect with the kids, and not only through the cartoons, but then us. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is gin, by the way. I'm sorry. But it's been our greatest gift when we have just said yes to what's happening, you know, and what's coming into our life, whether it's a challenge or whether it's an unbelievable gift that we go, oh my God, that's an unbelievable gift, you know? We've continued to be able to shape it, to move it forward, but also shape it to maybe get out of a trying time, or as in this case with the kids, we found our connection point and our way in to instantly, I think just maybe in some respects have an amazing play session with them, but yet it's an amazing session that actually teaches them lifelong learnings that we've heard from too many people and kids that it's sunk in. That's what I think has been such a great thing about it. It's not just sort of like, oh yeah, I think they came, when did they come?
Yeah.
You know, we've been getting those types of emails where teachers are saying, you know what, you guys, you came in October, and the kids are still, you know, turn out the lights, or, you know, do this or do that. My Aunt Jane.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of lovely Auntie Jane, we did a school in Brooklyn, New York, which was a very, very inner city school, and you know they couldn't afford a donation, and so the teacher made a donation of $25, sort of on behalf of a school of maybe 400.